Hello?
Hello, Larry. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Who is this?
This is Beth Berry from Real Green, and I have the pleasure of chatting with Larry Ryan from Ryan Lawn and Tree today, as I call him the original lawn legend. And when I thought to myself in the last couple of weeks, whose opinion would I want to know? It was always you. So I've long admired what you've done in the industry, and there are many people in the industry right now that have anxiety or uncertain about what COVID-19 means to the lawn care industry, and potential economic consequences. And first, if you tell us a little bit about Ryan Lawn and Tree, and then tell us how you're attacking the current environment.
Beth, I will, but I would like to address that comment just a moment ago that you made, and it's people have anxiety. I'm old enough to remember a book that says only the paranoid survive, and I think that if we all don't have a little bit of anxiety, we're not doing our jobs right. So, so as
That's
far
good.
as attacking the COVID thing, it is one of the, we went through Umbrellas in 2011 big time to the point of millions of dollars of damage, to the point of every single person of our company being involved in trying to help solve that. It was a 5 year process. We don't think COVID is going to be 5 years, but hopefully it's less than even 5 months. A question that pops into my head is, will it be back next fall, next winter? And we don't have an answer for that, but we have to take it one step at a time, don't we? Beth, I'm very blessed. We have a team of vice presidents. There are five of them, and each one is over their area of the company. They're all very smart individuals, and we're a 100% employee owned company. So they're using the phrase, and they started using the phrase, put on your owner hat. And we have about 315 owners at Ryan, and not everybody has their owner hat on, but I think the majority of do because it takes a while to understand even what that means. So the first thing they started doing right away was downloading, are we an essential business? What when we're sequestered in our homes and they're shutting businesses down, will we be shut down? That sort of thing. And Beth, it became apparent fairly early that we would be called an essential business. What does that mean? If a lawn, if weeds come up or crabgrass grows and we don't get this first application down right, that's not going to shut America down. But I think it goes way beyond that. Every business can potentially become an essential business simply by the fact that in an economy like we have in the world, which says we're built on borrowing, once people quit spending money, an economy will implode. And the fact that we can work outside by ourselves and not come within that social distancing rule within 6 feet of another person really allows us the freedom to not worry about contaminating or cross pollinating this disease with someone else while we still get our job done. And there are just so many other things, and I don't want to give you more of an answer than what you want, so I'll stop there.
That you were giving me exactly what I needed. There are many in the industry who are questioning whether or not we are essential. Most of the customers of Real Green and in the green industry, certainly in the Midwest, have mosquito, flea, and tick. Beginning April 1st is the commencement of mosquito season in Michigan and Indiana. And I have friends with Lyme disease. I can't imagine what would happen if all these areas that are bordered by waterways go without that potential treatment.
Well, that's absolutely correct. Uh, it was commented that one of our employees, one of our managers, was walking yesterday evening, and when they were done with the walk, he found a tick on his daughter. Okay, it's early, but all you have to have is a warm day, and ticks are available. So, whether it's Lyme disease or whatever, I contracted the Lone Star tick disease a couple of years. See, it was a year ago last fall, so I
Oh
guess
my.
it's a year ago, and got to experience what that was firsthand. Was it life threatening? Probably not, but man, I would break out in hives and go through periods of itching that Benadryl wouldn't control. So yeah, we do a heck of a service for our customers. People today don't know what really natural is, and they think that the environment when we live in a city, when we aren't spraying a tree in their yard, is a natural environment. It's not. In 1900, when Garfield was shot and laid on the floor of the White House for 2 months, suffering from that bullet wound, what at that time, Washington D.C. still had malaria rampant. They still had rats and mice and cockroaches in their buildings, and with no way to control those. That's natural. So we've cleaned up the environment and made it much more healthy for humans to live in. And that's a big part of what our industry does.
That's interesting. And tell me about your experience so far with consumer and customer reaction to your crews being out in the field. Has that gone well so far?
Yes, very much so. Even to the point last week, one of our managers called a customer and said, we're doing a lot of call ahead to make sure, because we also would like to get paid for the service when we get done.
Yes.
But told the lady we would be out and do the work. And this person had a big picture of society. She said, oh, Steve, I'm so happy that you're doing that. She says, I know to keep this economy going, we all have to spend money. So if they shut every business down and none of us can spend money, then we're going to see an economic catastrophe that a couple of $1 trillion will not support. So of government bailout. I mean, you can only print money so long. And even we have a lot more customers home right now because they're sequestered. The schools are shut down, so kids are playing in yards. So we're trying to be careful about that we're driving slower through neighborhoods, that we're very aware. We're having a management meeting every single morning, and that's brought up regularly, that treat it like the first day of summer when the kids first get out of school, and treat it every day. Plus, we're taking the attitude like Disney that we're all on stage. Since so many people are home, be very aware of everything when you're fertilizing a property, that you look intentional, that you put on your business face. It's not a time for frolicking and goofing around in any way. Not that any of us would do it, but everybody needs a little bit of mirth and laughter to their life on a daily basis. And there are some things that are just funny, but we're like an undertaker trying not to show that now.
That's true. That's true. And in terms of your technicians, sales, and service, they're energized for the spring season, and you've been able to manage any anxiety they may have about moving forward with the business.
I think to a point, everybody has that little bit of anxiety, right? But we have several very wonderful blessings that have happened to our company over the past year or whatever. But one is today we're 100% employee owned. So when we say put on your owner hat, we preach that a lot. Our annual meeting, we address that. What does it mean to be an owner? What does it mean to act like an owner? And we're trying to very intentionally do all of those things. The other is we're a faith-based company. And how do you get through something like this without a little bit of faith? If you do, maybe your head's in the sand, and we're seeing a return, at least with some people, like right after 9/11. If the churches were not closed now, I think they would be full. But we're doing more estimates to get a sale today. But in one of the estimates, when it was social distancing, face-to-face, our consulting arborist said, okay, Bob, what's it going, and I'm using that name metaphorically, what's it going to take to get a sale? And the guy looked at Mark and he said, Mark, here's the deal. When I'm ready to buy, it's going to be Ryan. But he said, right now with the uncertainty, I'm going to put this off for a few weeks or a month or two. But he said, you've got the business. Don't be concerned about that. And Beth, if that answers the question, we have to, every day you intentionally build your corporate reputation, don't you, or your company reputation. And so we've been building that for a long time, and it seems to be paying off right now for us.
And that doesn't surprise me at all. I said to someone last week, wow, could you have picked a worse period of the growing season for this to happen? And I was quickly corrected by someone who said, actually, it's the best time for it to happen because it's the heightened awareness from the consumer that they are going to need us right now. Do you agree with that?
Oh, actually, that's an interesting statement. But yes, because it's been real easy for us to say, and customers know that if you don't control crabgrass now, it's going to be out of control through the summer. And while you can control it post-emergent, it's hard to. Plus, and this sounds real strange, but just like in animals, people have that home building frenzy in the spring. They want to be outside and they think it's important that we're outside now. We're just starting to mow in our communities in Kansas City and Springfield. Tulsa's not quite there yet with warm season grasses, but people want that. They're looking for it to turn green and flowers to start bloom, and we're just starting to see the blooms in our neighborhoods. So I think he's right. It is a good time.
I think so too. And I had also said to a friend of mine that's on the board at California Pest Control about 2 years ago that I liked indoor pest control because I felt it was more recession proof. And he called me this week and said, I'd give anything to be doing our jobs outside. You lawn care people don't know how lucky you have it right now.
Well, I would agree with that. And then we've found that the outdoor pest control, that perimeter pest, is an incredible gift to mankind because you can get almost 100% control, probably 95, 99% control by putting that perimeter outside. We don't have to go inside their homes. So I'm with whoever said that we like what we've got and we feel very blessed. I think this whole green industry doesn't even yet understand what the asset that we have. And I've been preaching that to the colleges, that it's time we start waking our students up and get over this pesticide fear and quit calling it that, call it plant protection products, health-saving products, whatever. And then start raising our prices, start doing more for the customer at a higher price and pay our people better. And we talk about we're having trouble getting employees. Well, Ryan is fully staffed. But I think one of the reasons that we're fully staffed is because we're paying above market price for the people because we want the right person, if that makes sense.
It does.
And I think our whole industry, if we adopted that, it wouldn't hurt Ryan, but rising tide lifts all boats, that it's time to start paying our people for the job they're doing. And it is one heck of a job if they choose to do it right.
I love that. That is terrific advice. You mentioned one thing that I wanted to ask you about. Do you think it's a great time to add a new service line, perimeter pest, mosquito, flea, and tick? I've been a longtime proponent of those, but in this potential economic concern period, is it a good time for a lawn care company to launch a new service line?
And here's how I feel about that. I say yes, if you have the management ability to do it and if you have the staff to do it. If you're doing what you do very well and you can spend someone off to oversee it. I love that old quote years ago. Peter Drucker, the management consultant of the last century, said, behind every successful venture, there's a monomaniac on a mission. For years, I've read our trade articles encouraging companies to add on new services. And what I found personally is only do it if you have the manpower to do it and do it well. People don't know me, but 40 years ago, I was selling pizzas. I was in the restaurant business. And my degree is in forestry, so I laugh and say every forester needs to work in that business for a while, but it's where we really learned how to hire people. But the company was always trying to get more sales and asking us to do more things and add on more services. And because we didn't have the manpower, when we added it on, we did it. We brought the quality of the entire restaurant down. If you bring your quality down, don't do it. But if you can maintain your given quality, then Beth, I say yes, it is a good time.
Excellent. And 5 years from now, when you and I are having a conversation about this period in the industry, what do you think will be our most enduring lessons from this time?
Man, that is an excellent question, Beth. I'm 70 years old, so my prayer is that I'm still alive in 5 years. But if I am, or my successor, I think one is that we need problems in our lives to help us rise to a higher level of thinking. Now, that is not my quote. That's from Albert Einstein. Behind the solution to every problem is a higher level of thinking than the level of thinking that the problem was created at. And Prellis was wonderful for our company from the point of view that it showed us that we could have a huge problem and still survive and overcome it. Ice storms have done that to us also. Uh, I think it was Tom Peters that said, if you don't have a problem, manufacture one. Well, we don't have to manufacture this one.
Mm-mm.
So what we're challenging everybody to do in our entire industry is to ask ourselves, how can we be better? We have to look at ourselves and learn from Disney as we're on stage every day, when we're in our trucks driving through communities, or we're on properties doing the application, the pruning, whatever it is that we're doing. And if that person was in your yard, around your children, around your wife, would you be comfortable? If not, we've got an employee issue.
Wow.
So hopefully, looking back on it, we're all going to say, and I hope our company, Ryan, is going to say, you know what? We realized we could be a lot better than what we were. And by golly, we accepted that challenge and we met that challenge, and hopefully we rose to that challenge. I want to see our whole industry rise to that challenge. Beth, what you guys have done at Real Green over the last couple of years, when Joe brought in partners in the company, that new individual running your company is doing the same thing to you. And I am very proud of how we're working together to be better.
Well, I really appreciate that comment. And I can tell you the folks at Real Green feel the same. We're glad Joe is still around as chairman. But
Oh man,
when
he's
you have a
overtaken.
CEO, when you have a CEO like Bill Noonan, that's ex-Navy, I can tell you that every single day we talk about preparedness as well and how to meet the next potential challenge. We don't meet and say, well, what is the challenge today? We talked about that 3 weeks ago.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
Let's all learn from you. I'd love to have you guys send out little tips like that once in a while, because everybody needs to be reminded of that.
Absolutely. I will make a note of that. One last question for you. 9/11, I was thinking back to my time, I was at Scott's Miracle Grow at the time, and I know for sure that day, and certainly the days and weeks following, there was a sense of insecurity just about your physical being every day. You didn't know if that was the end of that event. And it did lend to a lack of consumer confidence for a while. How do you recollect the 9/11 event? How would you compare it to this?
Well, I remember it very well, and that's a long time ago. I think it was September 1st, wasn't it? But
Yes.
I was standing in a yard with a client when we watched the jet streams turn around in the sky, and she said, Larry, come in and look at the TV. You are going to be amazed. And I knew her fairly well, so she had no problem inviting me into her house. It tells us that we need things at times that are out of our control. Because if we're always in control, there's a human tendency to become conceited and almost a little bit internally arrogant. I can control life. What this does, and what 9/11 did to us, is took us out of our comfort zone and out of control and said, okay, how are we going to respond to this? What do we need to do right now? And you talked about your president of your company now being an ex-military guy. Our military has learned to respond to, there's times we can't be in control. So let's use our brains and let's very quickly assess the situation and let's make the very best decision with the information we have. Warren Buffett, the magnet guy in Omaha, says a similar type thing. Let's look at what we know. And do we have enough information to stay the course or to make a decision? What should we do? So that I'm being a little bit vague, but we almost need these times, Beth, because that's why God gave us brains, is so that we can start analyzing. And, you know, my management staff is much more analytical than I am. And I think at times I'm more of a sales-driven person. They roll their eyes at me, but you really need both. You know, it's that old thing that we are smarter than I am. We are more powerful. We get more done than I do. We're greater than the sum of our parts. And that really plays out right now. And I think we have to trust that we're start letting our people play it out.
Wow. Well, I really appreciate your time today. I know that you're busy satisfying the customers of Ryan Lawn and Tree and taking care of my good friends who are on your leadership team. I can't thank you enough for participating today, and look forward to your continued support of the industry. I know everyone that hears this looks to you for insights and inspiration, and you certainly provided that today. I can't thank you enough.
And I thank you so much. You are very welcome. So let's, as an industry, go forward in a very positive way and make a difference and make this a turning point year for us as an industry to go to a higher level. How's that?
That sounds terrific. Thanks so much, Larry.
God bless you, Beth. Bye now.
God bless you. Bye-bye.